Hey, Pastor Josh here. We're reading Genesis chapter 39, verses 10 through 23, and we're going to see how Joseph responds to the persistent temptation from Potiphar's wife. And as she spoke to Joseph day after day, if you remember, she propositioned Joseph and he refused. He said, why would I do this and sin against the Lord? But she kept doing it day after day, over and over again. And this is how Satan intends to work on us in the demonic realm and the temptations that come our way. Our own flesh has its own contribution to this, and then the worldly system in which we live. All these various types of temptations come to us and they eat at us and they chip away at us day after day, desiring to break us down and hopefully disobey the Lord and go astray. That's what the evil demonic realm is wanting us to do day after day, over and over again. But we have a good example here for us to follow. He would not listen to her, to lie beside her, or to be with her. He refused to do it. He would not listen. He would not take it to heart. But one day, when he went into the house to do his work, and none of the men of the house were there in the house, she caught him by his garment, saying, "Lie with me." It is interesting that garments really do show up quite a bit in Joseph's story. Of course, it is begins with that wonderful coat of authority that his father gave him, the coat of many colors. Uh, the garment starts there, and now she is catching him in his garment when he goes and stands before Pharaoh. We're going to be told that he changes his garments, and so the clothes of Joseph is almost like this little symbol and key for us as we read his story. They come in at pivotal moments. So she caught him by his garment, saying, "Lie with me." But he left his garment in her hand and fled and got out of the house. Again, another example, a further example for us to follow. Not only would he not listen to her, but then when he got caught in the temptation, in the very moment of temptation, he fled. He ran away and got out of the house. And it reminds me that Jesus says, if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off from you. If your right eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. That is the radical attitude we should have towards sin to make sure we are not in any position to fall into it. Of course, our right eye isn't what makes us sin, and our right arm isn't what makes us sin. And if it would be that easy, then you just chop it off. But of course, sin is a matter of the heart. And we should make sure that we are keeping ourselves from those places and particular actions that we have a unique propensity to fall into that temptation. You know what your particular temptations would be. And as soon as she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and had fled out of the house, she called to the men of her household and said, "See, he has brought among us a Hebrew to laugh at us. He came into me to lie with me, and I cried out with a loud voice." So already she was already tempting him, and now she is lying. It's the way sin goes. It just blossoms into more and more sin. You keep digging a hole for yourself. And as soon as he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried out, he left his garment beside me and fled and got out of the house. Then she laid up his garment by her until his master came home, and she told him the same story, saying, "The Hebrew servant whom you have brought among us came in to laugh at me." But as soon as I lifted up my voice and cried, he left his garment beside me and fled out of the house. Again, she's telling the same story. She is lying. As soon as his master heard the words that his wife spoke to him, "This is the way your servant treated me," his anger was kindled. Of course, it's a lie. And Joseph's master took him, put him into the prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined. Now, this is actually a blessing. In disguise, the king's prisoners, he is going to meet some prisoners that will then get him into Pharaoh's court, into the king's court. And he was there in prison. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him steadfast love and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. We need to remember that the Lord is always with us whenever injustice comes our way, whenever different curveballs in life are thrown our way. The Lord is always with us. And in this particular situation, the Lord was with Joseph, and he actually made him successful yet again. And the keeper of the prison put Joseph in charge of all the prisoners who were in the prison. Whatever was done there, he was the one who did it. The keeper of the prison paid no attention to anything that was in Joseph's charge because the Lord was with him. And whatever he did, the Lord made it succeed. Again, this is that attitude we need to adopt. Any success, any prosperity, anything that you do well is ultimately needs to be credited to God. You need to thank him for enabling you to do it and to make your work successful. Do not praise yourself and your own work ethic and your own knowledge. Praise the Lord who actually gave you those things to bring about the success that you have found yourself in. And whatever he did, the Lord made it succeed. I hope that has been a help to you and a blessing to you. And I'll see you in the next video.